I believe that you are the real MVP when you are anchored in your MVP. And what I mean by that is your mission, your vision, your values, your purpose, your passions to reach your potential. NVVPPP. Yo, what's up, team? Welcome back to Practice, the podcast where we fuse research and culture to help you develop the mindset, habits, and skills you need in order to live out your purpose with confidence. I'm your host, Coach Rees, and it's time to get better. Let's grow.
We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Practices are meant to be competitive. They're meant to be competitive. If your practices aren't more competitive than the games themselves, you're doing the wrong thing.
All right, y'all. So I am so pumped to get into this episode because the focus of this season is to really narrow in on how to win the year. And episode 11, we talked about like developing the marathon mindset. Episode 12, we talked about confidence. Now we about to develop into your MVP. Now, if you've done any coaching with me or looked at any other videos that I've done, then you are familiar with me calling you all the MVPs. I believe that you are the real MVP. The most valuable pizza eater, like old boy said off of, what was it called? Harlem? No, The Baller. What was that movie called? With the little boys from the hood who played baseball. Hardball. Here we go. He was like the most valuable pizza eater, even though pizza is bomb. That's not what you are. Let me get back on track. So MVP, you are the most valuable person in your life. That is what YOU-ISH is. That is what YOU-ISH stands for. That is not stands for, but stands on. Is you are the most valuable person in your life, because if you do not value you, who else will? Others will, but you will create a toxic environment in other spaces you go because you do not value you. Period. So when you're in this space, when you come to this practice, when you get in here, this is for you to gain the knowledge, the skills, the abilities, resources, so that way you can go out and have a positive impact, a constructive impact. One, yes, to live out your purpose with confidence, but two, to be able to give out some good energy in the other spaces, because we do life with people. We're created for people. So as much as this is YOU-ISH, right, and you are the real MVP, my job as your coach is to equip you with the skills to have a constructive impact on other people's lives, on yourself and others, right? So that's what this episode is talking about, but kind of a little bit different than what you think. I believe that you are the real MVP when you are anchored in your MVP. And what I mean by that is your mission, your vision, your values, your purpose, your passions to reach your potential. NVVPPP. Okay? But we're just going to sum it up with MVP. So our quote for this episode comes from Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant won the MVP award in the NBA a few years back. I don't remember what year. I probably should have researched it, but I didn't. And in his acceptance speech, he looked at his mom and he said, "Mom, you're the real MVP." I don't think he really said it just like that. But anyways, he was like, "Mom, you the real MVP." And any of us, I know if I won a reward, quick seg note for 5 seconds, I struggle saying my R's and my W's next to each other, and I'm not editing it out because it's just me being authentic how I speak. And so if you ever hear me struggle with R's and W's, I don't know why. It just is what it is. Now let's get back to the show. So if I won a reward, I would probably tell my mom she was the real MVP as well, right? Like moms are just, they're that thing. But he was telling her that because she's the one who put in all the work, who took him to, not all the work, obviously, like took him to, like held him down as a single mother, took him to practices, did all that, that kind of stuff. Like she put in that MVP kind of work. Usually MVP stands for most valuable player, right? Obviously practice, MVP, it works with the brand, right? But MVP in this instance, like I said, stands for mission, vision, values, purpose, passion, potential. So I believe you are the real MVP when you are anchoring your life in living according to your MVP. Okay? So the research though, right? So again, it's always research and culture. I want to make sure I'm steering you in a way that aligns with the research. So the research that shows that having an MVP is valuable to having number one, confidence, and two, having a high psychological well-being is our capital. You know I love to talk about capital. There's always some form of capital that's going to come up every episode because capital is everything. But we're talking about hope, optimism, and aspirations. So you having a mission for your life, you having a vision for your life, you having a set of values, understanding you have a purpose, being able to grow in your confidence and acting out your passions and living towards your potential is you anchoring and leveraging your hope, your aspirations, and your optimism, period. And when you have these things, they grow your capital, which is your assets, knowledge, skills, resources, abilities, which you get to go cash out in the world. Right now, I am cashing out on my mission. I am cashing out on my vision and my passions. I thoroughly enjoy sitting here and having these conversations with y'all. Ain't nobody in front of me. But in my mind, there's a whole bunch of folks in front of me who will be watching this video someday inspired. That gives me hope. That gives me optimism because at the moment, there's only 300 and some subscribers, but only like 15 to 20 some people watch the podcast. So my optimism though is like, there's still a one day, right? Like there's one day where this is going to impact so many people. And even just 5 people get impacted from this, it was worth it because I still enjoy thoroughly speaking and teaching. Okay. So that gives me excitement, and excitement is attached to hope, and hope is attached to optimism, which is attached to my mission and my vision and my purpose. So I hope that made sense. So because of that though, I went and did some research. Like, is there a song that kind of talks about this? And so I just went to Apple Music and I typed in MVP. And what do you know? There was a song by, it's a group called Brockhampton. Never heard of them before until now, but they have a song called MVP. Psh, what do you know? And it just happened to be a song in the late Space Jam, number 2, with LeBron. How cool. I probably should have found a LeBron quote in order to make some alignment, but it doesn't matter. So Brockhampton has a song called MVP, and there's a line in it at the very beginning where one of the cats says, "See, I was born for this." I was like, sold. That is the song for the episode. See, I was born for this. And the reason why I really, really am excited about using that is because for story time today, I want to talk about a little bit of my story. So this would be, kind of easy. I'm going to keep it short and brief. But as we head into story time, I want us to remember again that you are the real MVP when you anchor your life on your MVP. And I do not expect anybody to come into this episode, or really just wherever you're at in life, to have a firm grasp on your MVP. Because it's not something that's taught. It's not something that's really developed, which is a part of my MVP, which is what really draws me into wanting to help people discover this, because I firmly believe that when you have one of these, your life just hits different. You have another level of clarity. And so to transition, welcome to story time. In story time, I'm going to get real brief. So when I was in college, I'll go back to when I was in high school a little bit. I knew that I could hoop, and I knew that I loved to speak, and I knew that I loved to take concepts from the stories in the Bible. I knew I liked to write poetry. I knew I liked to write story. I knew I liked to do these couple different things, but I wasn't clear on my life mission. I didn't know what I wanted to study in school. But I knew I loved people, and I enjoyed the idea of helping people grow. Fast forward a little bit, I get to college and I'm studying psychology, and I'm like, oh, this joint is fire. And then you fast forward a couple more years after I really start to dive into understanding like how much I really enjoy helping people grow. I decided I want to major in youth ministry. And in youth ministry is where I really learned about all of these initial concepts. I studied youth ministry and psychology. So just really the development of people and how do I just help people be their best selves and fall in love with them so that way they can, I say it now, live out the purpose with confidence. But then it was just like live confidently and enjoy their lives is how I made sense of it as a 19-year-old. But then when I was 19, my little sister was murdered. And that, you know, obviously broke my heart in a million and one ways. And when this episode airs, the week after, it'll be about 11 years since it had happened. And I remember being like, I refuse. And she was 19 years old. I don't think I said that. But I remember saying, I refuse to live a life that I am not passionate about, because I knew that my sister's life was taken way too soon. And she didn't get to live out her passion. She was getting ready to start catching momentum. But she just needed a break. And so my heart in that moment broke, not only for the loss of my sister and my family and all that, but also for like the loss of her and her inability to become all the things that she had desired to be. And then it also broke for all the other people in the world who I know may be like unclear, or they felt like the cards were stacked against them, or they felt like, I'm getting emotional. They felt like they just don't have what they need, right? In order to be able to like live a life that they enjoy, you know, get out of survival mode, get out of poverty, get out of like, you know, the ability to be able to thrive and enjoy. And I remember it, which is what's making me so emotional right now, is because I was like, I'm not doing it. I refuse to live a life that doesn't give me organic energy and doesn't empower me to do the same thing for other people. So at 19, I made that declaration. And so I started diving really hard into who and what and how. How do I understand people better? How do I encourage people? How do I empower people? And I want to get after it and do it. And so that was it. Like, that's the story of how I became that much more of who I am today. As at 19 years old, I was empowered by the loss of my sister. And I got a tattoo on my back to represent her. And it says, the match may be over, but the fighter still lives. And the energy that I feel like I bring is because I'm leaving my legacy for more than just myself, but also for her. And that next summer after, that same summer, I don't remember at the moment, I ended up going and doing a internship, and I lived in Arizona for a little bit. And during that internship, I had the opportunity to now act out all the things that I had been learning in school, right? My youth ministry, psychology, put it together, all that stuff. But it had me at a church pretty much all day. And I was like, this ain't it. I didn't enjoy it at all. But I highly recommend you to do internships. And if you're looking for one, I'm always hiring. But during that, I ended up meeting randomly. I have no idea. I think being a researcher, trying to figure out how can I get involved with something. I ended up finding a local school, and I got connected with their strength and conditioning coach. And I was still a hooper at this time. I had studied strength and conditioning when I was getting my AA. And he ended up having some type of like summer camp, and he needed another coach. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to be a coach for your summer program. So all that to say is, during that summer program, I got the opportunity to work with hoopers, football players, track athletes, all this stuff at this really prestige Christian school in Arizona. And we did some like kind of life skill curriculum development, and it all came together for me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want my life to look like. I want to fuse life skills and basketball and development and academics all into one. And I ended up creating that same summer, probably like that same week, TCSA, which was my youth academy. And it was a sports specific academic and life skills academy where the focus was to help people develop their MVP. So long story short, again, that is it. And I say that to tell you that there is alignment in your assignment. There is alignment in your life's assignment. And no, I wouldn't be here right now with you-ish and doing what I'm doing if the last 12 years of my life didn't look like that. And if I didn't go through what I went through. Do I wish I had my sister? Absolutely. 100%. Trade it all. But it happened and there's nothing I can do about it. And what I could do was learn from it, gain some energy from it, and turn around and try to empower and inspire as many people as I can to be able to live out their best lives and live out their purpose with confidence. And so in that is how I discovered what my life mission was. So when I was like 20, I was like, man, I have a mission on my life. What is it? And so I had to ask God, I said, and I had asked God this a couple times. It was break my heart for what breaks yours. Like that was it. And the first layer was just that piece, right? It was really certain people who just didn't have the energy to live a specific way that allowed them to live out and experience their life of confidence and their gifts and their talents and to enjoy life and thrive. And that was kind of my first understanding of what my mission was. So I created my life mission statement. And it was back then creating the mission statement for TCSA was my life mission statement. And so before I get into that piece, I'm gonna take a step back because that was a lot, and we're gonna segue in. All right, y'all. So before I go into my life mission statement, because I kind of got ahead of myself, I again want to break down. You've got mission, vision, values, purpose, passion, potential. Okay, so we're going to cover these 6 real quick, but obviously we're going to come back to them because these are the foundation of everything you-ish. These are the foundation. I call these the anchors. And real random, selfless plug, I just finished my first book. And so by the time this comes out, I believe I would have announced it. But it is called The Mindful Execution Playbook. And it is every play that you need in order to live out your purpose with confidence. And one of the plays that you need to be able to run is you need to know your MVP. And so I'm breaking that down for you right here briefly, so that way you can have an idea of 1, why you need to get the book, and 2, why you need to develop an MVP. Okay. So Coach Rees, what you talking about mission? Like, what you mean mission? Like a mission trip? Like what, we on a mission? A mission. Okay, so a mission is why you do what you do, period. A lot of people will say, you know, your mission is your why. Your mission is, which it is, but like, I want you to think of your mission as in like, I'm here to complete this thing. I'm here to complete this. It's my why I do what I do. It's my why I wake up. And hear me, I don't wake up every morning being like, my mission is to... I sort of kind of do, but I'm not saying that you need to, right? Because everybody's energy is different, but your mission in why you approach your work, the way you approach your work, the way you approach your practice, the way you develop your confidence, the way you combat imposter syndrome is through your mission. Your mission is what keeps you optimistic. Your mission is what keeps you hopeful, because your mission is like, I do this for this. It's beyond money. Money will never amount to living out. It just won't. The money will, I believe, multiply your mission. The money will like magnify and give you a bigger platform and your ability to do different things. But living out, like in this moment, I feel like I'm living out my mission and I'm not making a dime from it. So nobody can come give me $100,000 and make me do this with any more energy, because I am convinced that I'm supposed, like this, I'm just convinced, right? So my life mission is to instill the right to confidence into other people by way of passion, love, repetition, and relationship. I can say it like that because it's been my life mission for, again, almost 12 years. And when you think about what your life mission is, I want you to think about one, something quick, something you can say, a one sentencer that's just like, what do I want to do? And your life mission is also it's a guiding post. It's a fence. It's a filter, right? I filter all my decisions through it. Is me doing this podcast a way that I can instill the right to confidence into other people? Yes, right? I want to instill the right to confidence into other people by a passion. This is a passion. You can see it. Passion, love. I love what I'm talking about. Repetition. I'm showing up every single week in relationship. I want to grow in relationship with you. So it already met the test. So when you're thinking about like, okay, even if you don't do a podcast, or you don't speak, or you're not an entrepreneur, I don't care. Every single person I believe needs to have a mission for their life. Wonder why? Every business does or should. If your business don't have a mission, you need to go back to the drawing board. That's another story for another day. But the same way that businesses have missions, it's what they're trying to accomplish. Why are they here? It's the same thing. What are you trying to accomplish? Why are you here? And I believe that people who have a guiding mission for their life just hit better, to hit different. Their energy's different. I believe you wake up different. You live different when you are convinced and convicted and have clarity around your mission for your life. Okay. Next, vision. Your vision is your mission coming to fruition. Your vision is your mission coming to fruition. Okay, so if you're saying, okay, Coach Rees, I think I'm clear on what my mission is. How do I develop a vision? Well, my vision is just the fruition. My vision is the fruit of my mission being lived, right? My vision is, what do I expect to see because I'm doing this? So my vision for my life is I expect to see people living out their purposes confidently, whatever that may look like. So if the future you're watching this, you leave a comment and you're letting me know, or when people come back and they say, yo, because of da-da-da-da, or I can just see people who have been impacted by my energy, that is my vision. I only want you to be able to live out a life that you love. That's it. That's my vision. I want to see people living confidently with authentic lives, just out here, stunting, getting it, going from survive to thrive, two-step. Like that's it. Like that's all I want to see from life. Like I want my energy to do that for other people. So your vision is the fruition of your mission. So when you're writing this out again, it should only be about a sentence or something. You're just saying, okay, boom. Like, what do I want to see? What do I want to see as a result? If I'm doing this, the outcome of me doing this equals this. What I'm doing, mission, outcome, vision. Period. Don't make it any more simple than that, or any more harder than that. It's simple, y'all. 3, values. Whew. Man, values are the priorities that dictate how I do what I do and who I do what I do. What I do, who I do, what I do. The values are the priorities that dictate what I do and who I do life with and how I do life, how I spend my time, how I spend my money. My values are also standards. My values are also goals. So when, not like my values are goals, but like my values are goals for me. Okay, so values are the goals that you have for your life because they show you what you're trying to achieve. Now, this is where you insert, because we're only human, because we're not perfect, all those cliches that are dumb. Okay. Yes, my values are attempts. My values are things that I want to align myself with. My values are the measuring stick by which I am trying to live up, because that is the standard I'm setting for my life. So if one of my values is to be a person of integrity, that is something that I achieve to aspire to. Okay. Remember, aspirational capital, right? I aspire to be a woman of my word. I aspire to be somebody who was prompt and on time. I aspire to spend my money a specific way. I aspire. And that might be a better way to actually explain values now that I think about that, right? Like, is your values are, I think, your aspirations are the things that you hope to achieve. And the reason why I say it is because, again, none of us are perfect. So we don't always hit our values. But my values are the standards that I set, that I strive to hit on a daily basis. Okay. Whew. So also another way you think about it like this, my values are goals for my behaviors, right? So my values, I aspire for my behavior to align with these standards. And this is how I want to align my behavior with these standards. Sometimes I fall short. It happens. But I'm also going to give myself grace. I'm not going to give myself shame. And I'm going to rise up and say, okay, boom, I missed the mark. Psh, what was the indicator of that? How did I fail? What can I do better? Boom, learn from it. And you just keep moving. As long as I keep living, I'm going to keep moving. Period. Okay? Now we talk about purpose. I'm going to be real brief about purpose because I've just purpose is what purpose is. You know, I'm that purpose. But purpose, 3 pieces. And I have a full episode on purpose. And that's why I'm going to be quick about this. But purpose is now I've discovered 3 pieces. It's the being, the doing, and becoming. Okay? Purpose is threefold. Some people might say your purpose is your mission or your purpose is your why. I think you need to know them all. That's why it's MVP. Okay. But your purpose is being, doing, and becoming. The being aspect of my purpose is my ability to really just be who I am. I do not believe that you can live out your purpose authentically let me say it like this. I do not believe you can live out your purpose if you're not authentic. That's what I meant to say. Okay. So your being, the being who you are, like rest. If you rest, that's a part of your purpose because you need that balance. If you rest and you take breaks and you do what you got to do, that's a part of your purpose because you're a human and you're being able to live out another aspect of your full humanity. So you just being you hanging out with your friends, you hanging out with your partner, you hanging out with your kids, all those aspects, activities and hobbies and all that stuff, that's a part of your purpose, right? You just being you growing in your craft, that's part of your purpose. Now we have doing. The doing aspect is where I'm going to weave in passions, okay? So the doing is me executing. The doing of your purpose is the execution. Got it? So I've got my being me, who I am, thriving and growing in my authenticity, my self-awareness, my emotional confidence. Get money, being me. But then the doing is the executing. Okay, so today is Monday. Yesterday on Sunday, it was a rest day for me. I just was chilling in my purpose, chilling, caught up on some shows, chilling. That was it. Still being in my purpose, but I was chilling because I needed the energy to come in here. That was my being. I just was being me. Today, I'm doing me because I'm going to do me. You do you, right? That's what this is, right? I'm executing in my purpose. So you have the being, you have the doing. The execution is of your passions. The execution is of your gifts, of your hobbies, right? That's the doing. When you're doing it, okay? The third piece is becoming. This is where I insert potential. So again, how I cover purpose is being, doing, and becoming. Being who you are, being authentic, being anchored in yourself, all the above. The doing is the execution of my gifts, my talents, my passions, my hobbies, all of that. The becoming, that is potential. And I think your purpose is something that you continually have the ability to be. Because the more you grow, the more you'll know and the more you'll see how much more further you kind of have to go. But I think potential is this. I think potential is the culmination of the amount of times we were able to be our best selves. I don't think potential is something that's like, yes, it's so far off, but because we don't know when our time here on earth is going to expire, because we don't know, that's really it. We don't know. We don't know when anything may happen in life because we don't control life and time and death in that way. I don't want to say, oh man, I don't know if I'm reaching my potential. I don't know. So the way that I make sense of this is my potential is my ability to be my best self every day in the being and the doing. The culmination of the amount of times I was able to do that, I think is do I think if I was to die today, I hit my potential? Part of me says, yeah. And other parts I don't want to say no because I would say, yeah, I think I did. But the excitement comes in, and this is where that optimism and that hope comes in, is God, I still have so much more on my heart that I want to achieve. I have so many more things that I want to get done. I have a platform that I want to be able to create to give you glory, to be able to like inspire so many more people. But if I don't, does that mean I didn't hit my potential? I don't think so. Especially depending on how I died, right? Not to get all morbid, but that's the thought. A lot of times people say, man, they didn't reach their potential. And I think people don't reach their potential because they did not do the things, because they did not operate and be in their best selves. And when I talk about being our best selves, what I mean is the ability to be authentic to you, the ability to grow in your emotional confidence, your ability to be self-aware and self-manage and gain some self-clarity and to execute those gifts. And a lot of times we hear that in sports. It's like, man, she's not reaching her potential, not playing to her potential. And a lot of times that's true. Like people aren't because they're not being their best selves. So I know that was a lot, but I hope that you caught what I was wanting you to catch out of that. And how I want to bring this back full circle again is you are the real MVP. You're the real MVP, y'all. And I believe that when you are anchored by an MVP, when you're anchored by your mission, your vision, your values, your purpose, your passions and potential, this is going to enable you to live out your purpose with confidence. And I believe that everybody's purpose is connected to helping somebody else live out theirs. I believe everybody's purpose is connected to humanity. And this is why I am so enamored and convinced that my purpose is to empower other people to live out theirs. I believe that my purpose is to model what it looks like to live out a purpose with confidence. So that is why I say hashtag be the model. I want you to be the model because you modeling what it's like to live out your purpose with confidence is going to give somebody else the confidence to do the exact same thing. And there's too many of us who do not have models for the things that we aspire to be. And so I'm encouraging you to be that thing. I'm encouraging you to be that person. I'm encouraging you to tell your story. I'm encouraging you to shine. I'm encouraging you to get anchored in the things that you need to get anchored in. So that way somebody else's life can be impacted because you chose to be the real MVP. And when you choose to be the real MVP, that's going to empower somebody else to be the exact same thing because you are equipping yourself with the energy that you need in order to be the real MVP. All right, team, it is time to get down to the drills and skills of how do I develop an MVP? How do I live out my MVP? And here's it. Number one, buy the Mindful Execution, whether you get it digitally or you get the actual hard copy. Yes, this is a shameless plug because this is my first publication. I'm super duper excited about it and I want you to have it because I believe it is life changing. And so one way you can start to live out your MVP and develop one is buying the Mindful Execution because it'll walk you through the steps on how to do that. Two, I really want you to create a space to get centered. Centered into what is a mission? Think of yourself in that way. And you always know I'm going to point you back to getting rooted. I'm always going to point you back to self-reflection. If you do not get rooted and have some self-reflection, you won't be able to identify what your mission, your vision, what are your values. And again, in the Mindful Execution, I walk you through all of those things and it shows you how you can do this. And the third thing is I want you to live it out. Tell somebody about it. Have a conversation with somebody. Do you ever feel like you got a mission for your life? Like you got a vision? Like what's your life vision? You know what I'm saying? What you feel like your purpose is? What are your values? All those things. And the reason why this is important is because our world's going through it and we got to be better, y'all. And I think that we'll only really be better when we have folks who are anchored by their MVP in order to empower other people, because I firmly believe that everybody was born with a purpose, on purpose, to live out their purpose. And if something has a purpose, that means it is on a mission. And so I hope that you see that you were born for this. You were born to live out your MVP. And if you ever have any questions about anything, please feel free to drop it in the comments, reach out to me, all the above. But I am praying for y'all. I hope that you are doing as well and as best as you can. And I hope this episode blessed you and gave you what it needed to give. I hope it gave what it needed to give. So remember, you are the real MVP. This is Practice the Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Rees. Until next time, peace.